welcome to the lesson on conclusions, inferences, and generalizations. What will you learn in this lesson? You will understand what a conclusion is. You will learn how to look at evidence or clues in a reading to base your conclusion. You will also learn about understanding what inference is and learning how to look for evidence or clues in a reading and use your background knowledge to base your inference upon. So let's play detective. Sometimes you hear or read the term making inferences or draw conclusions on an assignment. This means that you have to play detective and figure something out using the clues the reading gives you. What is a conclusion? A conclusion is evidence from the text with other evidence from the text, and sometimes with even more evidence from the text to come to a conclusion. A conclusion is based on what the author gives you only. Conclusion questions can include questions such as what has happened in the story, what will happen in the story, when does the story take place, and where are the characters. Notice all of these things should be able to be answered based on what is in the story itself. Drawing conclusions. So let's practice a little. Pretend you're at Walmart. You see a little boy screaming and pulling on his mom's skirt as she pushes the cart toward the store exit. He's screaming, "Candy!" while she just shakes her head and keeps going. The closer she gets to the exit, the louder the boy screams. A lot of things can be wrong with the little boy, but what do you conclude? So what did you conclude? Did you come to the conclusion that since the boy was screaming as they got closer to the exit, that obviously he has not gotten his candy, but seeing that they're getting closer and closer to the exit, he realizes he's not going to get his candy if she leaves the store. That's why he's yelling. Did you conclude that? You probably did. This one wasn't all that hard. Conclusions are really easy. All you have to do is take the hints you are given and make an educated guess. More clues. Here's another one. Pretend you're at the doctor's office to get a shot. Not to get shot. It should be a shot. A little boy is sitting there screaming his head off. His mom is rocking him in her arms. He keeps pulling at his right ear. What can you conclude this time? A, he is still angry about not getting the candy. B, he has an earache. C, he is scared because he is there for a shot. Or D, he just cries a lot. Go ahead, put your answer. Did you guess B? If you guessed B, you're probably right. Okay, looking at this, A is not right. We don't know that this is the same little boy. Okay, we're just saying it's another little boy, and it's a little boy who's screaming his head off. This time he's not being dragged, and his mother's not ignoring him. She's actually rocking him in her arms. Rocking a child is a form of soothing, and you have to ask yourself, why would he need to be soothed? Well, our only answer here that makes sense with the fact that he's pulling at his right ear is that he has an earache. Okay, he's not scared because he's there for a shot. You are at the doctor's office to get a shot, not him. Okay, careful reading leads you to the right conclusions. Okay, now let's look at inference. Inference is a logical guess based on evidence and prior knowledge. So whatever's given to you in the passage plus what you already know, that creates an inference. Types of inference questions include, what can the reader infer about the character? What inference can be made? What is the mood, feeling, or created in the story? What is the character feeling? What is the character doing? And which of these best describes blank? Okay, so you would have to make some inferences based on information that you already know from your experience in the world put together with what the author's giving you. To make an inference, you will need to first look for evidence or details from the text, just like with the conclusion. But you also want to use your mind and think about what you already know, that background or prior knowledge. Put those together to make your inferences. So let's look at finding clues in a story to answer the questions here. Okay, we have Tommy and Sarah just got off the school bus. Sarah said, "I smell smoke." Tommy pointed and yelled, "Sarah, look at the smoke coming out of that house." In a moment, they both heard what sounded like a fire engine siren. The classic suggests that A, the house is on fire and someone called to report it. B, the house is on fire and no one called to report it. C, someone was burning leaves in the backyard. Or D, this was a fire drill. Excuse me. Okay, so the correct answer here is did you guess A, the house is on fire and someone called to report it? Yes, that is the right answer. Okay, that would be based on the fact that they see smoke coming out of a house and then they hear a fire engine. Okay, you know from your own knowledge that the fire engine wouldn't just come on its own. Someone had to call to report it. Let's look at generalizations. A generalization is a general rule drawn from looking at specific facts and figuring out what they have in common. Here we have bananas, an orange, and apples. What generalization can you make about these three things? Did you say that they're fruit? You got it. That's a generalization that you're making. Other generalizations can be made by looking at different types of people. Sometimes generalizations made about people are called stereotypes. They're not always a good use because sometimes they can be offending to people, especially if they don't fit into whatever generalization or stereotype you're creating. A generalization is basically two parts. It's specific details plus what they have in common. It gives you a guess or a generalization based on previous common experiences. Generalizations can be valid or invalid, meaning they can be true or false. If a generalization is valid, it is well supported by facts, experience, and logic. If a generalization is invalid, it's not supported by all the facts. Experience and logic tell us it cannot be true. Here's an example. No one likes school. Is that valid or invalid? Thinking about it, you probably want to joke and say yes, it's valid that no one likes school. However, there are certain students who do like school. I can tell you my son loves school right now. He's grounded. He has no video games, no TV. He goes to school for entertainment at this point. Second one, people are very gullible, meaning they're easily convinced. What do you think? I've had past students tell me that they think this is valid, but then others say that is invalid. Think about it. Do you think you're gullible? And the last one, all birds have wings. Is this valid or invalid? This would be an example of a valid generalization. All birds do have wings. True, not all birds can fly, but all birds do have wings. Making generalizations. So when you come back into the classroom, we're going to make some lists of true generalizations and also some false generalizations and see what you guys can do with that practice. And then a quick review here. When people talk, they don't always say exactly what they mean. The listener must figure out what the speaker really means. Inference in reading is similar. It's when you need to use the clues written in a story along with what you already know to draw a logical conclusion. In other words, you need to be a word detective. You will not always be right when you draw a conclusion from a story, but the more you try, the more skilled you will become. Being a good reader and word detective is a good thing. Thanks, and if you have any questions, be sure to ask your teacher.